What's going on, guys? MariK here. Last week we covered all of the maps for the classic Battlefront 1 game, went over their layouts, and talked strategy for each of the various factions. This week we'll be talking about the maps in Battlefront 2, going over the changes to the maps that have come from the first game, discussing strategies for the new maps that are new to the second game, and going over various strategies for each faction on each map. Geonosis makes its return with a fresh coat of paint and a brand new layout. This time around, the map has been completely redone, and it's on a much smaller scale. When playing as the clones, you're of course going to have the ATTE, the rear guard, the south control, and the Techno Union ship. While the droids have the hangar, the north control, and the barracks, the cliff bunker is the only command post on the map that is neutral, and it is a highly elevated command post, so it has a great vantage point for snipers. It is difficult to hold that command post down, though, because the enemy faction, regardless of which faction you're playing as, is always vying for control of that command post. There are also two different underground tunnels in the middle of the map. To the left of the Techno Union ship ahead of it, you go under that tunnel, and it takes you out to the side of the barracks, while the other tunnel is ahead and to the right of the Techno Union ship, closer to the cliff bunker. I usually try to avoid them, but if you're trying to avoid enemy fire, they do make a nice little hideout. When playing as the Republic, the easiest strategy you can take is to grab a pilot and hop in the ATTE. I know it seems like the easiest strategy is always to take the vehicle, but sometimes that just happens to be the case, especially when you have either the AT-AT or the ATTE on the map. It's just such a good vehicle, and to be able to deal with the immense amount of vehicles that the droids have, either on this map or on the Geonosis Spire in the first game. They have two of the Spider Walker droids, and I believe they also have two of the Hailfire droids on this map. And then they have even more than that on the map in the first game. So you're really hard-pressed to take full advantage of this walker. The walkers seem just so instrumental in keeping up with the reinforcement count on this map. The Confederacy does have the Geonosians on their side, but they're really frail. They only take a couple bullets from pretty much any gun, so you don't really have to worry about them being a threat, though they can overwhelm you if you're not careful. The primary fire for the ATTE isn't the best, but it does score kills if you manage to get a couple good hits on infantry. The secondary fire is an immediate one-hit KO. It's hard to decide if you should actually stay zoomed in with the ATTE or not. You can get a pretty good vantage point, but the perspective changes so much between being zoomed in and not being zoomed in. I like the overhead view that you get when you're not zoomed in better. I feel like I can see a little bit better on the map, and 9 times out of 10 it's not even worth using the primary fire. I just kind of use it as like extra. But most of the damage is going to come from those secondary cannons. If you want to see a little more action than just being a mobile turret of death, you can always spawn at the Techno Union ship. My best advice would be to take the tunnel that goes underground, try and come up right where the barracks are. Every now and then you'll see enemies come down here after you. Once we get to be playing online, players might come through these tunnels a little bit more, but it doesn't really give you a great vantage point. And in this particular instance, my clone trooper had a heart attack. What the fuck? If you can actually manage to make it to the barracks there, it's a great command post to attempt to take. There is a health and ammo droid behind it. If you find that you are just getting overwhelmed, you can kind of play Ring Around the Rosie with it and get some heals back. And then once the command post has been cleared out, you can kind of just hide in this little back hallway here. There's not a lot of cover in this command post. It seems like there should be, but these windows here just don't. They just don't. It's a very difficult, almost impossible command post to kind of hold down solo. So I'm not quite sure how much I recommend doing this on your own. If you've got other allies that can help you, if you got players that you're playing with, convince them to go with you, because you're going to need someone to hold your hand or, help carry your corpse out of here if you don't make it out in one piece. The third strategy would be to spawn at the rear guard as a sniper and just head straight up this back mountain to get to the cliff bunker, and once you've taken it over, it's a very good position for a sniper. You'll just have to be really careful because the enemy is going to be thinking the same thing, and they will be coming over that ridge at any particular moment. This is one of the command posts that pretty much changes hands really consistently. Same thing with the Techno Union ship. Sometimes it's really difficult to see the battle droids because they blend in with the dirt. The droid echas are obviously the easiest to see. When playing as the droids, if you're going to take one of the vehicles, I would highly recommend you take the Spider Walker instead of the Hailfire droid. The Hailfire droid has a really wonky maneuverability, and I just don't feel like it gets... I don't know who I just eliminated there. Spider Walker's weapons aren't great, but they do a decent enough damage to the ATTE if your sole focus was to get rid of it. But against infantry, it just doesn't have the same... It doesn't have the same effect that using ATTE does. The primary fire is wildly inaccurate, even at closer ranges. The secondary fire, the red laser, is a decent enough weapon to use on infantry if you actually manage to keep the laser focused on your target. You're better off going around and attempting to take the downed Techno Union ship. You can go over the tunnel or under the tunnel, doesn't really matter either way. This command post, because it is more or less in the center of the map, similar to the barracks, this one just happens to be on the Republic side of the map. It does grant you a pretty decent line of sight to both of their other two command posts as well as the ATTE. But if the ATTE actually was being piloted by a real person, you would probably already be dead. The last strategy would be to spawn as a sniper, and you're pretty much doing the same thing that you were doing as the clones. You're heading straight up the hill behind the cliff bunker, and you're going to go ahead and capture this command post. It may be a little more beneficial for the droids to have this command post than the clones, although it is closer to the clones' other command posts, so it will be a little more difficult to hold it, but... Can you just die? Thank you. For the most part, it'll be relatively the same. You will have a better vantage point over their command posts, I believe. And because it is closer to their command posts, you're also... Whoa. That wasn't him. You're also able to have a greater vantage point to snipe down from. Again, just be careful to make sure that they don't come up the back of the hill like this sniper is already trying to do to us. Oh, shit, there's already one up here. The clone commanders are probably more dangerous than anything else just because of how fast they shred you. And playing as a sniper, you have the least amount of health. But when you spawn right behind them, you're able to just get them right back, and that's satisfying. See, and then right here, we're trying to snipe and have fun, and there's already another clone trooper right here to put an end to that. It definitely feels like having the cliffside bunker is a lot more beneficial to the droids than it is to the clones. It just, whoa, because it is so much closer to their command post. But it does, again, have the downside of being right there next to their command post for you to be able to just get flanked. I don't know what this hole actually is for. Let's go ahead and find out. Okay, that's what it does. Don't do that. So that's going to be it for our strategic map overview of the Geonosis dust plains. This map is in a way, it's more fun to play than the other Geonosis map. It just depends on your preferred playstyle. If you're playing in the ATTE, it's fun either way. It's not really a whole lot different than the previous map, just because you're not doing a whole lot of moving, and it's more about just one-shotting all the infantry. It shreds the tanks. Personally, I'd recommend either just holding down the Techno-Union ship or sniping from the cliff bunker. You can attempt to take the barracks, but it's so far away from your support that it's easy to get overwhelmed. If you're playing as the droids, again, same thing. You could take the Techno-Union ship, but the ATTE is probably just going to rinse you as soon as you get in it. The cliff bunker is your best bet when playing as the droids because you're so much closer to the Republic's command post, and you've just got a better vantage point. You just have to be a lot more aware of your surroundings because it is a lot easier to get flanked as well. Star Wars Battlefront Classic Collection comes out in just 2 weeks, so we hope to see you on the Battlefront.